All right. All right. So we are live. And what are we going to talk today? Today, we're going to talk about men. How do men get trained in the Watchtower? And how is that a challenge? Stay with me. We'll discuss this in detail. So, men in the Watchtower. Oh boy. See, if you never went through this process, you might think that I'm crazy. That is not happening. See, what happens is in what we call a tribal arrangement, tribal mindset is where you don't develop much of individualism. You are part of collective, you're part of a group that dictates pretty much everything that you're going to be doing, thinking, and basically how you're going to make decisions. That's the bottom line, is how you're going to make decisions. And when you make decisions that are, the foundation of how you shape your life, the decision is very simple. Is it going to be based on your values and your beliefs? Or is it going to be based on somebody else's, the group thinking, the group values, the group vision? So the challenge with being a Jehovah's Witness is, as you know, you are part of a tribe. That tribe will greatly influence on all your decisions. When it comes to men, here's what happens with men. Men get trained in that organization a lot more than women, because obviously women don't have the same privileges, as they don't have the same status as men do, and women cannot reach out to have certain responsibilities. Now guys have these possibilities of being in authority position, and that authority gives them certain amount of power. Now, here's the challenge. When we were choosing somebody to be a ministerial servant or an elder, number one value that we were looking at is obedience. It's obedience, number one value. By far, nothing else mattered as much as that. Didn't matter how loving that person is, how organized, how kind, how hardworking. None of that mattered. What mattered was, is he obedient? How is he taking counsel? How is he, responding to what we tell him? So if this guy basically wanted to get privilege, he would reach out, as we call it. But a lot of times they don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So when I wanted to be a ministerial servant, nobody told me, oh, here's a formula of what to do in order to be a ministerial servant, or there's no formula of how to become an elder. There are some qualifications, as they call them, in the Bible, but truthfully, if you read actually those verses, almost anybody would qualify. Anybody is a husband of one wife and does not give in to drinking too much wine and all that stuff. The qualifications are so vague that chances are majority of the guys in the congregation would actually fit in there. So how do they choose? Well, when they choose a ministerial servant or an elder, first they see if that person follows all the guidelines. Because if there's any guideline that the person does not follow, chances are they're not gonna get the privilege. Obviously, I mean, if you are in a position of leadership, you have to lead. You have to show the path. You got to show with your example and with your actions and habits and what you do as an example to the rest of the congregation. You don't want somebody in an authority figure to be speaking, but a knowledge from a book, not from experience. You want the guy to be experienced, and in order to be experienced, you actually have to do those things yourself. So they'll check: is this guy good with the sound system? Is he good with the microphones? Is he good with this the magazines? Is he helping with the cleaning of the kingdom hall? Is he helping with the building of the kingdom halls? Is he volunteering for Bethel? And all those things are being asked. And obviously, if he says yes, 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 then we'll go into the wife. He's the wife. He's yes, 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 all good. Then he might be considered into being a ministerial servant or an elder. And here's what I noticed: most elders or ministerial servants, they're chosen into this position based on how obedient they were, how much they followed somebody else's rules and policies. Now, if you get into that if you get into that position because you were a good follower, you think that you would get into the clan of elders and you would change? No. You would be exactly the same. You would have a little bit more voice, but not much. Truthfully, what I speak from my personal experience, but I know a lot of people have very similar. Most elders were even more afraid. There's certain fear among Jehovah's Witnesses when it comes to crossing a line. But when it comes to elders and ministerial servants, they actually show even greater amount of fear. Why? Because they have more to lose. Because when you are a Jehovah's Witness, the whole world, you think that the whole world is watching you, how you're behaving. Because everything that you do is supposed to be for a witness. So if people are judging you, they're judging not only you, but they're judging the entire religion and the entire organization. And of course, Jehovah, because we're the chosen nation, so we got to show that we're honest and hardworking and so on. So everything was for a show. But now, if you have this privilege, you are showing example to those people who are already holding a very high standard. I remember when I became an elder, that my brother-in-law, he told me straight out, like, from now on, even simple things, like if you're thinking, I'm going to spit on the ground, just nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's some people do that. But if you're an elder, you're going to ask yourself, can I spit on the ground? What will people think about me? You can't give them any sign of, I don't like what he did, even though there was no guidelines, there's no scripture, there's no watchtower that will ever mention about such thing. You have to watch yourself. So what happens is you basically become a person that is constantly watching yourself and what you do and what you don't do. What movie you're watching, what music are you listening to, what radio station you're going to turn on in your car. And that fear increases, as a matter of fact. Some people think, the elders are not afraid. No, they are. Trust me, they are. We had the Circuit of Vizier visits, and very often the Circuit of Vizier would go through all the elders to see if everybody is, up to date with everything. And if maybe he's doing everything good, but his wife, if his wife is not showing up at the meetings very often, or she's wearing a skirt too short, or her hours are very low with service, then he had something to worry about. So the fear is on every level. Some people think, no, we were afraid of elders because when they were coming to us with a shepherding call, we were trembling. We didn't know what they're gonna do, what they're gonna say. Believe me, the elders were also afraid to go to shepherding calls. I remember at the beginning, I was not very comfortable because I'm like, I'm going to a couple of pioneers to encourage them. I've never been a pioneer, so I feel like a hypocrite, because how am I going to encourage them to be pioneers if I never pioneered? And then there's that, kind of discomfort. And also, I was younger than other people, so I felt like, how am I going to encourage a couple that's been serving for 50, 60 years, and I'm much, much younger than them, and what can I tell them? So there's also that part, right? But here's what I wanted to say. Today's topic is about men, basically how we shape the man. And I hope that some of you guys will join me. Sorry, I forgot to put that link. I'm going to put the link right now in the comments. Did it come out? Yeah, there you go. So if somebody wants to join me, you don't have to show your face, but I love having somebody on the show so we can have a discussion. So what happens is this. There's an enormous amount of fear, because you're afraid of stepping out of the boundaries. You get there to the privileges because of your obedience to the authority and following the policies, and he takes away all the masculinity from the man. Now, I'll repeat this again because especially women will not get this because they never had to go through this process. If you have a vision, okay, let's say you want a promotion at work. Let's say you want to build a business. Let's say you want to achieve something in your life. But the only path to get there is through submission. When your word does not matter, all what matters is how obedient you are. You will become a person who will, inside, his masculinity will die. You could see this almost everywhere in all the congregations. There are very few men in the congregation who actually kept their masculinity, and women really have a hard time sometimes choosing a man. Not only there's statistically more women in the congregation than there are men, but very often I heard is that Jehovah's Witnesses men, they're losing their masculinity, and because they're losing their masculinity, women are simply not attracted to them. Why? Because although women like to be pleased, they hate women pleasers. And if you have this mindset that in order to achieve something, in order for you to get to a position, you have to follow, obey, and submit and do what you're told, very often when they get into a relationship, guess what they do? They get into a relationship, they want to please their woman, and they do whatever the woman says. Whatever Kanye, I'll bring you. Whatever she says, I'm going to do. And at the beginning, she might be happy about it. Oh, yeah, this is such a nice guy. He does things for me. After a while, she wants to throw up. Like, what is this guy? Like, come on. No spine whatsoever. And it's happening. It's happening all the time. And I've seen this, and a lot of women express this to me. And they're like, they couldn't put a finger on it. But believe me, that's what it was. If you didn't even qualify to be a ministerial servant or an elder, then very often women would not look at you because that was the category of a perfect man. A perfect man would be at least a ministerial servant. Elder, it's a bonus, but it has to be that spiritual man. And spiritual man would have privileges. And if you didn't have them, then automatically, I remember Tony Morris said that, well, if the guy is 23 years old and he's not a ministerial servant, then it's a red flag. Why not? Why not? So it's a huge challenge because with that mindset, a lot of women chose a man for the wrong reason. They chose a man who would be a good spiritual shepherd, the guy who would be doing the Bible reading and family study with them, which majority of guys hated doing it and they didn't do it, or they did it for a short period of time at the very beginning. Later on, they got tired of it. And then later on, the women are like, wow, he's not studying with me. He's not ahead, and so on. So it was a really tough for both, for women and men in the relationship. But for guys, I tell you what, now that you're out of this, in order to build the masculinity, in order to find something that even women are crazy about, listen to me carefully, is the certainty. Certainty is what builds man. Certainty is what women crave when it comes to men. This is what they're attracted to in men the most. Certainty, the feeling of certainty. When a man owns himself, when he has a vision in life for himself, when he knows which direction he's going, is what masculinity is all about. Why? Because for thousands of years, men were hunters. Women were gatherers, but we were hunters. We would go to the forest. We would have one objective: go and kill an animal and bring it home. And we didn't care how it was done. We just had one goal in focus, one vision. Just go and make a killing, come back, here, meat for the whole family. And we didn't talk during that process. We were quiet for most of the day. When we communicated with other men, it was only about a strategy of how to go and make a killing. We would collaborate together. So you go here and I go here, and if we kill, we'll share the meat. But it was a very clear objective of why we're communicating and what we're doing. this is what masculinity is all about. Now we do the same thing. We go to work. We want to make a killing at work, right? We want to bring that paycheck. Here's a woman. Here's what I brought to the table. I'll take care of you and the kids, and we're all happy. It's in us. It's in our DNA. We've been like this for a very long time. Women are built totally different because they were gatherers. They were gatherers for thousands of years. They would go into a forest and they would talk. They would talk to other women because they had to network. So they had to find out, oh, you cannot eat that berry because that berry will make your skin rash, or if you eat that mushroom will poison you. And they had to say, oh, if you want to get good berries and the good herbs and the good mushrooms, then you got to go to the big oak and turn left and then turn right at the creek. And they had to create a little network and express themselves all the time in order to get what they wanted. And they still do it today. If you're trying to figure it out why women go to a restaurant and they open up a menu and they stare at it for 3 hours, is because they have to choose the right food, otherwise they're gonna die. And every menu is like, woman, choose chicken. We're still fighting over it until today. But here's what happens. Men are so demasculated in this environment with Jehovah's Witnesses when they're constantly just following the orders, and they're rewarded for obedience, and they're punished. They're punished for vision. If they have a vision, if they have voice, if they have their own opinion, if they say, I want to go this direction, this is the path that I chose, guess what happens to them? They're in a cult. They cannot have their own vision. They cannot have their own direction. Even if it does not conflict with Jehovah's Witnesses, with their direction, with their vision, your role in that environment is to support that tribe, nothing else. And if your vision is in conflict with Jehovah's Witness vision, then you're out, then you're bashed, then you're excluded, disfellowshipped, labeled. You have no place there. If it does not conflict, but it's going just different direction, then maybe you're not disfellowship, but you might be viewed as bad association, as somebody who's not spiritual, somebody who's more worldly, and so on. So there was also that pressure. This is why it was so difficult to find masculine men in that environment. But now that you guys left, okay, and you're trying to figure it out, how to build your life. Maybe you're looking for a partner. Maybe you're trying to build yourself. One lesson is this: find a vision. Find a vision. A man needs to have his vision. A man needs to have a goal in life where he wants to go. Don't just live from day to day and trying to figure it out. Oh, maybe one day I'll figure it out. No, start walking any direction. Okay. Even if you have a dilemma, you don't know whether you're going to go right or whether you're going to go left. Start walking one direction. You're going to find out if that path is the right path. If you're going to have problems on this path and you're going to find out, oh, this is wrong, you go back and you go to the other direction. But go somewhere. Figure something out that you love doing. If somebody inspires you, if you feel this energy inside, it's like, oh, I love what this guy's doing and I would like to do the same thing. Go. If it does not turn out to be as good as you thought, and you thought, hey, you know what? I don't like this. Change the direction. Go somewhere else. But figure it out that you must have a direction. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ladies, put some comments. Tell me if you see a guy who has no direction in life and cannot make a decision and just lives from day to day, how attracted are you to him? Nothing drives more crazy women when they see a man sitting at home doing nothing. Even if everything's fine, even if the house is perfectly clean, even if there's money on the, I don't know, on the table and you guys are set. When the man comes home and he does nothing, she will find him work. She will create mess in the house for him to clean. Trust me. I'm married too. So, man with vision is extremely important. Find a vision for yourself. Find something that you can inspire yourself, thinking, oh, you know what? This kind of a goal really inspires me. that I want to go. Because when you do this, a couple of things happen. In order for you to achieve this goal, okay, you have to become someone worthy of that goal. See, Jehovah's Witnesses, as an organization, they have a goal. They have a very clear outcome of which direction they're going, and every decision that they make is aligned with their goal. You got to do the same. You got to create that vision for yourself. They know which direction they're going. They created the path and they said, you guys want to join our path? You want to join our vision? Great. This is the direction we're going. And you create the same thing. You create that path by visualizing that path in your life first. As a matter of fact, lately, as somebody who knew me for almost 30 years, man who I worked for, he asked me this question. He's like, Jack, did you ever think that you're gonna become who you are today? He saw me growing quite a bit. He saw me overtaking a couple of companies, and he saw me, growing on my vision. And I said to him, yeah, I saw this decades ago. I envisioned this life that I have many, many years ago. And the reason why I am here today is because I saw it. I saw it first. When nobody else could see it, I saw it. There was this moment when Epcot came into a day of opening. And Epcot, if you don't know what Epcot is, it's part of Disney World. It's one of these huge, gigantic places where you can go take your family and spend a fortune there on rides. and and Epcot opened, and there's Walt Disney's brother. He's there, and the reporter comes up to him, and the reporter's asking, I forgot the guy's name, but he was Walt Disney's brother. He's asking him, oh, this must be a very happy and bitter day for you. He says, why would you say that? Today, it's a great day. It's a wonderful day. It's a huge success. He says, well, because although Epcot is such an amazing place, but your brother didn't get to see it. And the guy said, well, this is why you are just a reporter, not a visionary. Means that Walt saw this. That's why you get to see it. Isn't that amazing? A true leaders, not bosses who tell people what to do, leaders, they have a vision. They know exactly what they want. They can see it. It's a spiritual game. When people say, oh, you're not a spiritual man because you're all about materialistic things or business or this, I tell you what, spirituality is all about vision, all about creating something that doesn't exist yet, because it's backed by faith. Because you're the only one that can see it. You're the only one that can visualize this, and you have faith that you will make it so without any proof to back it up. And you will share this faith, and you will share this vision with other people. And guess what? Most people will not believe you. Most people will think you're crazy. But if you cherish it enough, if you put the effort and time and energy to it, you can become the creator of something. You can take the invisible and make it visible. That's what creators do. And that's what masculine men do. And believe me, that for majority of women is like, yeah, I want that man because he knows who he is, he knows where he's going, he has a vision, he works at it, and he's good at it. And that attracts women. Unfortunately, a lot of men who are Jehovah's Witnesses, they were in this environment when they were pleasers, people pleasers, constantly trying to figure out how to please another person. And they were waiting for direction. Somebody else told them, oh, do this and this and this. And they're like, yes, honey, yes, this, yes, that. And they became this yes man and took all their masculinity out of them. It's a challenge. It was for me too. Believe me, it wasn't that simple. I think I grew more as a man after I woke up from Jehovah's Witnesses in the last, 7-8 years than I did in all my previous 35 years being in it. It's true. Because I understood finally, it's like, oh, you know what? I have to build my life. I gotta have a vision for my life, for my also for my family, for my wife, for my kids. That doesn't mean I'm gonna dictate what they're gonna do in life. But if I have a clear enough vision, they will see like, oh, we can support that vision. But if you don't have a vision, if you don't see the future, if you don't believe that those things will happen, nobody will join you. Nobody will follow you. You will not become a leader. You become a pleaser. You will constantly ask, what is that you want? What is that you want? What is that you want? A true visionary, actually, what they do is they're able to communicate with others so effectively that people desires are created later. What do I mean by that? Um, Steve Jobs, one of the guys who created an extraordinary company, a company that changed people's lives and how we communicate and how we do business. I mean, it changed my life too. It had an effect on many of you. Even maybe you're watching me through one of his devices that he created. But here's what he said. He said, if you ask people what they want, and then you go and make it, then you go and create it, by the time you put it in the store for people to buy, people will already change their mind and they will want something else, because it takes about 5 years from the moment of your idea of what you want to do, by the time you create the drawings and the prototype, and then you get approval from the government, and then you make somebody to put it in the production, and then you advertise it, and then you actually make the product, then you ship it from China and you put it in all the stores. That takes a minimum of 5 years. So you got to have, those 5-year business plan is like a bare minimum. Most of those things take actually much longer. And guess what? By the time you put it on the shelf, people are like, oh, there's something else new, and they're not going to buy your product. So what he realized is you got to think, a true visionary has to think, what will people want 5 years from now? Not what they want today, but what they will want 5 years from now. And when it comes to building your life, you got to sit and do exactly the same. You got to think, okay, which decade of my life I am in today? Am I in a second, third, fourth, fifth decade? Divide your life into decades. I'm in my fourth or fifth decade, right? I'm almost 45. So I'm like halfway through my life, basically. And I got to figure it out. Okay, what will this decade be about? Just between 40 to 50, that decade. What is it that I want to achieve in my life? How I'm going to look back when I'm 50, looking back on this past decade. What is it that I'm going to feel happy about, proud about? What is this going to be given? Because when you're Jehovah's Witness, you only had what? One goal, and it wasn't even yours. You had to attach yourself to somebody else's vision. And for all your life and for all your decisions in life, you had to basically support somebody else's vision. Whether you were 15, 17, 30, 40, 70, this is why Jehovah's Witnesses are the same. And they don't change, they don't grow. A 20-year-old man is almost exactly the same as a 50-year-old man, and a 50-year-old man is the same like a 70-year-old man. They don't grow. They talk the same way, they think the same way, they stay at the same level. If the organization does not change anything, they don't make any shifts. If the organization doesn't grow, they don't grow either. I think the best example is lately when they're actually allowing them, oh, you don't have to wear a tie, you can wear a beard, you don't have to report your hours anymore. They allowing them to do things that normal people would make those decisions for themselves. But they can't. They can't outgrow this mindset because they're in it. I remember when my brother-in-law told me that, oh, you know what? Maybe you were right, but you were ahead of the chariot. This is Jehovah's chariot. Organization is Jehovah's chariot. You can't fall behind because you're going to be left behind, and you can run in front of it because if you run in front of it, you're going to get crushed. He goes, right? So you got to stay in it, right in the middle. If you stay right in the middle, you're in a safe place. That's how they think. This is why they can't outgrow this mindset without jumping off that wagon. What is it you're doing today? Do you jump off the wagon and keep crying about what is the they have done to you and how you are a victim, and you're gonna cry like, oh, they took away so many years of my life. Fine, great, cry for a week or two or a month. But then what? Are you gonna cry for the rest of your life? Or are you gonna create a vision? If you're a man, listen to me. Create a vision for your life. Design your life. Time is the most precious commodity. You might blame them that they took away so much time. Blame is lame. You're not gonna go back in time. All what you have is what the time is left. It's a dash between the day that you were born and the day you're gonna die. And I don't know where you are on the spectrum, but it's only going one direction. And wasting more time on what they have done wrong will only hurt you. They don't care. They have absolutely, they don't waste any time on the apostates. No time whatsoever. I mean, the best example of it, it's actually when you see what they're saying. If you watch any of their broadcasts, it's like, whew, the most crazy things they're saying that. And I'm like, I have no desire to listening of this, but sometimes I would watch some other people's YouTubes when stuff comes up. And when I'm listening to the governing body, when I'm listening to the speakers, and I'm like, well, these people, are they really that ignorant? They really don't know? It's crazy. But I will not spend any more time sitting there reading their watchtowers. They took enough time from me. And what I have in front of me is my second half of my life. I'm not going to waste it. See, one of my dreams was to become a pilot. And when I woke up from JWs, I'm like, what am I going to do with my time? There's so much time. I'm not preparing for the watchtowers. I'm not preparing for the meetings. I don't go to the meetings anymore. Why not? COVID hit. I had a lot of time on my hands. I became a pilot. I loved it. But here's something interesting about being a pilot. When you're a pilot, you go into the cockpit. And the very first thing I noticed is there's no mirrors. There's no mirrors. You can't see what's behind you. You can only see what's in front of you. And there's other airplanes lining up behind you. And sometimes I felt like, well, I got to see who's behind you. You can't. No camera, no nothing. Because when you're a pilot, you have to be focused on what's in front of you all the time. You cannot be distracted by what's happening behind you, not even for a second. Pilots have a law. The moment the door closes, you're not even allowed to speak to the co-pilot about yesterday's news or a soccer game. No, it's a violation of a policy. The moment the door closes, guess what? We're only talking about the flight and nothing else. And if something else is happening, we are cutting ourselves off from this because one mistake and people die. So that taught me how to be laser focused on your goal. Because that's how Jehovah's Witnesses are too. They laser focus, and then if somebody's barking at them from the side, they don't care. And I'm not saying that you should be oblivious to what's happening around you, but when you have a clear goal of what to do with your life and somebody's trying to distract you from it, guess what? That's their life. Let them be. Let them live. Don't shun people. You just have no time to deal with it because you know where you're going. And guess what? You can have more than one direction. That's another lesson. See, when you were Jehovah's Witness, you only had one goal, one direction, one vision, one guide that will take all your decisions away from you and gave it basically to the organization. But guess what? You can do more. You are more than one decision. You are more than one vision. You are, let's say, in my example, I am a father. I am a husband. Those are two different visions. So when I'm with my wife, I'm not going to treat my wife like she's a child. I'm not going to treat her as an employee. I'm not going to treat her as I don't know, as a cousin. She's my wife. So I'm going to treat her and I'm going to talk to her like she's my best friend and a lover, because that's what my wife is. When I'm with my kids, I have a different purpose as a father towards my kids. They are not my spouse, they're my kids, and they expect me to be a father to them. When I go to work, I have my employees. They're not going to be my friends. We're going to be close, but I got to talk to them and treat them as employees. And I'm going to share my vision. Where do I see the business going 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And if you guys like this vision, join me and we will go there together. That's what visionary does. That's what leadership does. You walk first. When you are a leader, you walk first. That's what masculinity is about. You show a path. Now, there is something that comes with it. It's called a responsibility. A man needs to feel responsible. See, that's something. I'm not saying all women have a challenge with this, but from basically what I've seen among my sisters, my cousins, my mother, all the women that I know, majority of them cannot handle the level of responsibility that men can, because they're usually a lot more emotional. I'm not saying that there's no exceptions to the rule, but usually they think about every single detail. They're a lot more detail oriented. So they can't handle that level of responsibility. Guys can, because they can compartmentalize. They can just go to work. Oh, what I think is work. I don't think about my mother. I don't think about my kids. I don't think about my wife. I don't think about the car. I don't think about the vacation. I don't think about nothing. I'm laser focused because we're hunters. So we can focus on one goal. That is our mission right there. That's what I'm doing. And because of this capacity, right, we can achieve our goals sometimes much quicker than women. And that's our strength. That doesn't mean that women cannot do the same thing, but it's basically that's our advantage. Now, women have other advantages over men. We'll talk about it next week. But today, talking about men, it's basically that vision, and you could have more than one. You can wear more than one hat. When you go to work, you become, whether it's an employee, whether it's a manager, whether it's a boss, entrepreneur, whoever you become at that workspace, that should be your goal, to become the best you possibly can in this field. You go home, you're with your wife, you have to become the best husband to her. You're with your kids, you become the best father to the kids. You with your mother and your father, you become the best child. Even you're 50 years old, for them, you're still a child. You become the best child for them. You take care of them when they need to be taken care of. You support them when they need the support. You reassure them that you're always there if they need you. That is your job, to be a man. And guess what? There will be people that will be unloading frustrations on you. And what will make you a masculine man is when you take it. Yeah, that lesson was extremely important in my life. That a really strong man can take other people's frustrations, and you will basically won't be affected by it. See, let's say you run a business. If you want to run a business, if you want to have employees, you want to occupy that space, it's extremely rewarding. Don't get me wrong. I love running a business. But majority of your day, I would say 90% of your day, you will be taking other people's frustrations. They will call you with problems they cannot solve, which means you're going to be dealing with the worst problems they are. I think Gary Vee said you have to be willing to eat shit. You want to run a business. That's how tough it is. Business is a very tough game, but it takes a very strong and a certain man who has a very strong vision. Because if you don't have a strong vision and you don't have a certainty in you, then people's frustrations, people's angers, people's disappointments that they will bring to your table will affect you so much that you will lose your vision, because you're going to think, oh, you know what, this is what I wanted, but I see, oh, this person is hurt, this person's crying, this person is disappointed, I'm not spending enough time here, I'm not nourishing this, nourishing that. And a lot of men give up on their mission. They give up on their vision, on their hopes and dreams, because they were so distracted with everybody else's wishes of who they should be and who they should become that they never took the time to sit down and figure it out. What is that I want? What vision do I have for my life? Because in the environment of Jehovah's Witnesses, they were told that in order to have respect in the congregation, in order to become somebody on higher up, is you have to be obedient. You got to just do what you were told, please the people above you. To the point where my brother-in-law, he said, Jack, if you want to become an elder, you have to basically go to other elders, try to arrange to go to service with them, sit in front of the coordinator, raise your hand up high, even if you're not they don't take you right for the answer, but the coordinator, if he's sitting right behind you and he sees your hand up, at least he knows that you were prepared for the watchtower. And if you show up at the meeting with watchtower with no not underlined, right, don't underline with a pencil, underline with a huge highlighter, right, 2 colors for A and B answers, right? So they can see all the rainbow colors. I got to create a show. He told me that straight out. And guess what? I follow his advice and boom, voila, very quickly I became an elder. But that was the challenge. You get rewarded for obedience and for becoming a follower, and you get punished for becoming a visionary and become somebody who has their own opinion and strength. And guess what happens? You can't, and then later on, for whatever reason, not even yours, maybe even your wife's, right, low hours or skirt too short, you're removed from the position and humiliated in the congregation. Because trust me, the moment they remove you from being an elder, the entire congregation thinks the worst of you. Maybe even you removed yourself. Maybe you said, I can't do this no more. Thank you very much. Jehovah's Witnesses don't make this announcement, okay, when you were, let's say serving as a pioneer or an elder for a decade or 2 or 5. And then one day you said, okay, I can't do it. My health doesn't allow me. I'm too tired. My family is sick, whatever it is. You just resign from this position. Guess what? The announcement that's going to come from the platform for a person who worked really hard and resigned, and somebody who has done something really horrible and they got removed, the announcement is still the same. Brother so-and-so is no longer an elder, no longer a pioneer. It's the same announcement. So automatically, the entire congregation thinks this guy did something wrong. And now you feel like, oh my God, I got to live with this. I remember myself when I was resigning from being an elder, one of the top things that kept communicating to the elders in my congregation is, please don't think that something is wrong happening with my wife or sin has been committed. No. This is my personal decision, and this is what I want. Please respect my decision. But I really wanted to make sure that the whole congregation does not stone me to death with their eyes. Yeah, we care a lot about what the congregation thinks, and this is why so many guys become people pleasers. So now, here's what happens. You create a vision, step number 1. You create certainty, which means you're going to have faith that that vision will become true in your life. And when you create this, it has to be a vision for more than you. If you just create a vision for yourself, believe me, you're going to give up really quickly. You're going to give up very quickly. But when you create a vision for others as well, for your wife, for your kids, for your parents, you're going to be compelled. When I was starting my business, and believe me, when I was starting my business, it was really bad. I made so many mistakes. I was afraid that my wife would find out. I was embarrassed to tell her how many times I thought, oh, I'm going to be, and she told me, don't do it. And then I'm like, no, I know better. And now I did it, and I blew all the money away, and it turned out to be bad. And then I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to go home and I'm going to hear, I told you so. Sheesh. Which guy wants to hear that? It was not easy. But in my car, you know what I did? In my car, I put a picture of my wife and the kids. And with a black marker, I put reasons why. Reasons why. And whoever got in my car, they're like, what's that? said, that's the reason why I keep going. Those are the reasons, the top reasons, the main reasons why I can't give up, why I can't fail, why when I lose, I got to get up and keep going, why I get up in the morning when I don't feel like getting up in the morning and I keep going, why I go on Saturdays when I don't feel like going on a Saturday, or work on the weekend, or work really late at night. And I feel like, oh my gosh, it's easier to just go and work for somebody else. Why? Because I have a strong enough why. And when you have a strong enough why, and we have a strong enough vision, and the vision is so compelling that you know when you fail, it will hurt those who you love. Oh boy, then you have a vision. Then you have a drive. Because motivation does not last. Everybody said, oh, I'm so motivated, I'm going to do this. No, you won't last. Don't be motivated for a day or two the most. Maybe a week if it's really compelling. It won't last. Motivation doesn't last. But what lasts if you have internal drive, when you know that you can't fail, when you know if you fail, people will suffer, people will die if you fail, then you have a drive. When you know that if you fail, you're going to lose love. Oh, loss of love. You remember that one from DW's? Loss of love? That's a drive. When we would go door to door, we would do things that we didn't like doing, didn't enjoy it, didn't matter. The thought of losing love would keep us going. Gotta have that too. Figure it out what it is for you. Share that with others. Don't be afraid of sharing your vision. Some people say, oh, keep it for yourself. No, if you're afraid of sharing your vision, it means that you're afraid of what people will say about it. You're afraid of their opinion because their opinion is more important than yours. If their opinion is more important than yours, your chances at achieving it is zero. Listen to me, it's zero, not even 1%, zero. Your opinion about your vision and your life has to be stronger than anybody else's. If it's not, then somebody else will knock you down. 100%. It has to be stronger than even your wife's opinion. Because if your wife will tell you, oh, no, I don't think you do this. I don't think you should do this. Oh, you're not going to spend enough time with kids. The work-life balance is going to be off and so on. And she's going to tell you why. Because she's afraid. That's her job, to test you. Women test guys all the time. And they want to see if you're serious, because she doesn't want you to waste your time on something you're not serious about. So she's going to test you. Women have it in their DNA. So just accept this, okay? Switching to another woman will not help you. Most of them are the same. They test their guy to see what the guy is made out of, because they want to see that he's certain about it. And if he's certain about it and he has that vision and they tested him and then he's serious about it, then and only then he can go to the woods and slaughter the dragon. Because believe me, creating that path, it's not easy. When you go into the forest and you see a path, great. You walk through the path, no problem. But if you go to the side and you don't walk on the path, how much faster are you walking? You're going to the right, you're going to the left. Very quickly, you're lost. You don't know which direction to go. And chances are you're going much, much slower, because you got to climb the rocks. You got to go over the stumps. There's a swamp over here. There's this. You go much, much slower. And you go in a whole bunch of different directions, and then you're lost. Well, if you follow a path, it's much easier. But somebody had to create that path. Somebody had to go through that forest first. Somebody had to go and make a whole bunch of mistakes first to figure it out which is the best path to walk on. So you as a visionary, you as a leader, you as a man who wants to lead, you will make a lot of mistakes. And you're going to walk the path that it's not that good. And you're going to go the opposite, and then it's not going to be the best. And you're going to take arrows too, because there's people who will try to hurt you because there's competition. And the moment there's competition, they're like, oh, let me tell you. Tell you what, you want to create a strong enough vision, you're going to have to kill 3 dragons. Listen to me carefully now. If you're a man trying to create the vision, 3 dragons you're going to have to slay. Number 1 is public opinion. That is the smallest dragon of them all. Public opinion. Your friends, people you know, your neighbors, people at work. You're going to say, you know what? I work for my boss, but one day I'm going to create something myself. I'm going to create my own business. I'm going to create something on the side, whatever it is. Side hustle, whatever it is. And people will laugh at you. It's like, oh, you don't know what you're like. Oh, I tried this before. When are you going to? You have no time, right? Plus, this happens, but the economy is bad. And then, even if you succeed, the government is going to take everything, and the taxes are going to eat you alive. Besides, what? You think you're better than us? No, you're going to sacrifice this. You're going to lose on that, blah, blah, blah. You're going to invest money. You're going to lose. And these friends, it's not that they don't love you. They care about you. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want to be left behind. They're saying this because they care so much. They don't want you to go on the wrong path. They want the best for you. And what they think is the best is the path they're on because it's nice and comfortable for them. So they're trying to discourage you because they have seen people getting burned and they don't want you to get burned. You're going to have to make sure that your opinion rises above theirs. Otherwise, it will never happen. So let's kill the dragon at first. You listen to what they're saying just to make sure that you avoid mistakes that maybe they've made or somebody else they know have made. That's it. That's all what it's for. A warning. Don't go this way because this guy tried here and he invested here and people took advantage of him and he lost all his money. Fine. What did he do wrong? Let me not make that mistake. Great lesson. Listen, but that doesn't mean you should stop. Slay the dragon first. Dragon number 2, at 10 times bigger. That's your immediate family. That's your wife. That's your spouse, basically. Your kids, your mother, your people who are the closest to you. The 5 people that you surround yourself the closest. They also love you and they also care about you. And then they also don't want you to be hurt. So they will be on your ass a lot more. And they will try to discourage you a lot more. Not that they don't love you. They do. As a matter of fact, they love you more than the other guys. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to invest the money that you have been saving for a decade and blow it on a stupid idea. They don't. Of course not. Neither do I. They want you to be successful, but they're so driven by fear. They're controlled by fear. So they will never tell you, oh, yeah, go for it. Because they don't want you to get hurt. So when you create a vision, make sure that you include them in that vision. Because they are the closest to you. They are the people that you love and care about. So I remember when I was creating that vision, not only I thought about where I'm going to take my wife, what kind of opportunities I want to create for my kids, but I also thought about my mother. I'm like, I'm going to buy an apartment for my mother because where she lives right now is disgraceful. And the government has to take care of her. And I don't like that. Okay. I didn't know how I'm going to do it, but I had a vision. I'm like, I'm going to take care of my mother because she took care of me and she basically pour her heart into me. She took me out of Poland and she had a really rough time. We were both living in a little tiny studio apartment, sleeping on the floor from things that we found in the garbage. Okay. Like the furniture that we found in the garbage. That's what we're sleeping on. I'm sleeping on the floor. And that's how we started our life here in Canada together. And it was really tough for her. She was fighting depression, running all over the place to do cleaning jobs and stuff like this just to support us. I mean, she invested me. So I said, you know what? Now is the time she's going to reap the benefits of her investment. I will take care of her for the rest of her life. As a man, I had that vision. And when she was like, one day, she was like, I can't stay here anymore. The place where she was living was horrible. She thought she was going to die if she stays there. I said, Mom, here's the key to your brand new condominium. And it brought me more pride than anything else. I could have buy a, brand new Mercedes if I wanted to with that money. I could have done so many things with the money, but giving my mom a place to live was by far the most, I'm getting emotional right now. The most fulfilling, most amazing thing that you can do with money. If people tell you, oh, money does not bring you happiness, is because they never gave enough of it. Remember this. People tell you money does not give you money is because they never gave enough of that money. You turn people's life around with your success. When you see that other people's life is better, 100 times better because you succeeded, you're going to have a drive. But when you're thinking, I'm just going to go to work, I'm just going to, do things for myself, then you're very selfish because all what you think of is yourself. You don't think how to benefit others. You don't think how your life and your success and what your vision can create a better life for others. That's, as a man, think about it. Think what you can do. Think how much impact you can make on people that you love and care about. Just because you decided. Because that was your mission. You created the path. Remember the third dragon you got to kill? That's you. That ego inside that is telling you, oh, you know what, you think you're... And then there's this voice, oh, who are you kidding? And one day you're going to think, yeah, I'm going to be this great guy. I'm going to run this business. I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. I'm going to do this and that. And then inside, like, yeah, right. Who do you think you are? That voice you got to kill. There's this voice inside that it's really pleasant. It's a really nice voice. And voice inside that tells you, you deserve to sleep in longer. Yeah. I mean, you worked hard all week. Why wouldn't you sleep in on the weekends? Come on, man. You worked hard. Relax. Why not? Watch some TV. Great sport today. That very pleasant voice. It's nice voice inside. That voice you got to kill. I'm telling you. It's a nice voice, but you got to kill it. There is another voice in your head that it's horrible. I mean, I hate it, mother, because it says, get up and go and move it, for crying out loud. You're never going to get where you want to go unless you get up and move. That voice is not a nice voice. But that's the voice you got to cherish. That's the voice you got to listen to. That's the voice that tells you, hey, you know what? You're getting fat. Put your shoes on and go to the gym now. Lift up those weights now. That's the voice you got to cherish. That's the voice you got to listen to more often. You got to listen to every day. That's what makes you a man. You know what's the difference between a people pleaser and a real strong man? I tell you what, it's one word. One word. A people pleaser, he knows what he should do. That's right. Everybody knows what they should do. They know they should save money. They know they should exercise. They know they should spend time with their spouse. They know they should take care of their kids. They know they should save for the retirement. They know they should take care of their aging parents. They all know what they should do. The real man does not should all over himself. A real man must do. For him, he must wake up in the morning. He must go to the gym. He must provide. He must protect. He must take care of his woman. He must take care of his kids. He must take care of his vision. It's not a should, it's a must. That one word will make you from a little boy to a man. Change that one word every time in your head. I should do something. Say, shut up. Stop shooting all over yourself. You must do it. There's no longer should. The moment you say you should, it will never happen. The moment you say, I must do it with clarity in your mind, that's the day you're going to become a man. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for listening. I know I went on a rant today, but I think I had to in order to get this message straight. All right. I'm going to turn to you guys. If you have any questions, please post them now. I'm going to try to see if there's any questions in the comments. If you want to join me, that would be awesome. I'm going to put one more time the link. If you want to join, that would be great. If not, then guess what we're going to do next week? Next week, we're going to talk about you ladies. That's right. What does it mean to be a woman? Do women have any rights? Do they have to live in shadow of a man? Are they going to be the housewives, or can they have a career? Can they have their own voice? Can they have something in their life that matters? And how not to become in competition with men? Because very often today, even in the society, in the world that we live in, women very often they don't know how to do it, because the moment they start running their own businesses, the moment they start being successful and they're feeling, oh, I'm building something, and they're excited about it, all of a sudden they're becoming in conflict inside, because they're like, oh, I'm competing with my man, or I feel like, ugh, if he's not taking the lead and now I'm taking the lead, what happens? Creates a conflict maybe, or maybe you're losing respect for your man because you're doing better than him. We'll discuss all those things next week. So stay with me, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.